Hello, welcome in. Thank you everybody for joining. I'm Brooke and I am a self-authority coach. So I like to empower you to live your best life and to understand and know that you are the creator of your life. And I do that through mindset work, right? Manifestation, law of assumption. So that's primarily what I like to teach. And today I wanted to discuss that no one is separate from you, right? A lot of the times you'll hear this community talk about everyone is you pushed out. So what does that mean? It means that no one, no thing in your reality is separate from you because it's all coming from you, right? Every thought that we think manifests into our 3D reality. And that goes for good and bad thoughts, right? So it's so important that we have a strict mental diet and we invest in the story that we want to manifest and that we're not giving our attention, our energy into the story that we don't want, right? So what does that look like? That looks like you want to be wealthy and you want to go on a shopping spree and you want to have multiple homes across the globe. And you want to be able to vacation and really live life to the fullest, financially free. You have to invest in that story in your day-to-day life, right? That doesn't mean that you go out and you buy a ton of things using credit cards or money that you don't have, right? Because creation is done in our imagination. So what you do is you walk through life knowing that you are wealth itself, right? Because you're not separate from it. You are abundance, right? And so you do that through when you're paying for something. Maybe you go out and you get a coffee. You have gratitude and you say, thank you so much that I'm able to afford this $4 coffee, right? It's not that it's the $1 million gold leaf coffee from Dubai, right? It's just a normal coffee, but you're thankful for the means and the funds that you have to pay for it. And that's what we call living in the end, embodying the state of an abundant person. Because if you had your wealth, you would be so thankful to be able to afford any and everything that you desire. So we're not changing anything in the 3D. I'm not saying to go out and spend, a ton of money. You don't need to go buy luxury clothes and book a, luxury vacation. If you have the means, of course, go ahead and do that. But it's about embodying the mindset of the wealthy person. If you were wealthy, you would be thankful. You wouldn't be worried, right? There wouldn't be worry, doubt, and fear of where your next paycheck rate was coming from. You wouldn't be worried about where your next meal is coming from. You would trust and know that as the creator of your reality, that you create wealth, you generate it, right? It's not separate from you. You are wealth itself. So really persist and live in the end of understanding and knowing that principle. So then that way you can have your desire. You're not going to be checking your bank account, right? Saying, oh, where's the money? It still says zero. That's not living in the end of an abundant person. An abundant person would know that they don't even really need to check their bank account because they have more than enough. It overflows. So day to day, you check your bank account and you say, thank you so much for what you do have in there. Or thank you for having a bank account at all, having access to the internet to check your bank account, right? Circumstances truly do not matter when it comes to manifestation. So if you see something that's not favorable in your 3D, don't give it your attention, right? Because you'll just create more of it. So we're going to have a strict mental diet when it comes to our reality creation, and we're going to be intentional with the thoughts that we're thinking. So with this example, we're going to have the gratitude when we purchase the coffee. We're going to be thankful when we pay a bill, right? Thank you that I have this money to pay a bill. Anytime you receive mail, right? It could be a bill, it could be a letter, it could be a postcard, anything. Pretend that it's a check, right? Like have fun and be playful with it and say, I have the money, it's here, it's mine. Like, thank God. You'd be rejoicing, right? You would be in the state of gratitude because you'd have abundance, riches, wealth, all of the things that, money can buy and more. You could donate money to people, be more philanthropic, right? So it's about embodying that state and staying persistent in it. We can't waver. We can't go back and forth, right? Because then we're being a double mind. And a double mind is, saying that you're wealthy 1 minute and saying you're broke in the next breath. So have the mental diet, have the clear discipline to trust and know that nothing is separate from you. So your desire, whatever it is that you want, is truly already yours because you are the creator. You are one with the creator. Therefore, separation is only an illusion, right? That's the 3D. So what happens when you're persisting and you still don't see it in your 3D? That's when you have to dig in and say, I'm experiencing this through my knowing, right? I don't have to experience this with my 5 senses. You're looking for proof with your 5 senses, right? And that's not what reality creation is. It's in our mind. And once you can embody that state, it will materialize in the 3D. You will get to experience it with your 5 senses. But until that happens, you have to persist in the lie, essentially, right? It is a lie. We are lying to ourselves to a certain extent when we are manifesting because we don't have the thing yet. But you're going to persist in it knowing that it's truth because you have it. You're creating it, right? It's here, and it's here in the present moment now because you thought of it and you decided it. So it starts with a decision. And then you stay loyal to that vision and you persist and persist and persist until it hardens into fact in your 3D. So I always do a little spiel in the beginning. Welcome. Thank you all so much for joining. If you're new here, my name is Brooke and I talk about reality creation, living the life of your dreams, building health, wealth, abundance, and all of the things that you desire and that you deserve because you are the creator, right? So I teach law of assumption. I do answer every single person's questions. So pop your questions about manifestation in the chat. Any challenges that you're having, they can be specific, they can be broad, technique questions that you may have. Drop them in the chat. I will answer them. So just make sure you bear with me because I do typically get behind in the questions, but it will get answered. John Mike, it's so good to see you. Welcome. I saw you followed me on Instagram, which I so appreciate. So thank you so much. It's good to see you all on both platforms because, I try and post a little bit different content, but with this app, you never know where it's going to go, right? So it's good to kind of stay connected on multiple platforms. Noel said, I've been manifesting things and haven't even been trying. That's wonderful, right? That's what this work is. So manifesting isn't even really something that we try, right? It's something that you've always done. Every thought that you think is manifesting or advancing into your 3D. So you've always been manifesting. You just didn't realize that you were manifesting, right? You weren't actively doing techniques. You weren't actively seeking it out. So yeah, as the creator, as pure consciousness, right? Infinite intelligence, anything you think is manifesting into your 3D. So when you can do it from a place of ease, like you're talking about, right, where there's no resistance, there isn't this deep desire. Because remember, a lot of the time when you have resistance, it's because there's a void in you. And when I say void, it's not in the manifestation vernacular. What I mean is there's a hole inside of you typically, right? And you're trying to fill that hole with your desire to make yourself be enough or to be worthy. And so that can cause resistance because we're then, putting our power outside of us when we are the power. Nothing is separate from us. It's just an illusion. So that's why we can't get caught up in the 3D, guys, because it can really throw you off if it's not showing you what you want. But remember, it came from you, right? And because it came from you, you can change it. So we are first cause. That is our thoughts. And then they manifest and materialize into the 3D world of space and time. And Barbie, thank you so much for the heart me. I appreciate you. So yeah, that's great, Noel. You are always manifesting. Every thought you think is a manifestation. Your life is a movie, right? Your life as it is now is a manifestation. You have manifested it through your thoughts and belief, whether it was conscious or unconscious. Danny said, hi, how are you? Mr. Magic said, I manifest free food the most. That's amazing. I love that. Claim it. Like, continue to claim that. Like, I say all the time, I always get things for free. And then multiple times a week, I get things for free. And actually, it's funny, a lot of the time, minus food as well, I don't directly affirm food. I just say, I get things for free. I actually just got a free vacation. So that's a new development since my last time coming on here, which was amazing. My friend is coming to visit me, and, we were talking, and I, was telling her about logistics and different things, and she just offered to pay for hotel. She just was like, I want to do that, and you don't need to worry about it. And like, I just want to pay for it. And I was like, are you sure? And so, yeah, so we're constantly manifesting all of the time, right? So I love that. Manifesting free food. Yeah, continue to persist in that belief. And the reason why it happens for you is because you have a dominant belief of I get food for free. And so then it manifests in your world, and it's probably very easy for you, right? It comes second nature. You just go somewhere and they're like, here's a free appetizer, here's a free dessert. Do you want to sample this? Do you want to try that? So that's awesome. That's amazing. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Lauren said, just stay in heavenly thoughts and disconnect to all outcomes, and great things will manifest. I love that. Beautiful. That's a great way to look at it. Yes. Stay in the thought of living in the end, right? Or your heavenly thoughts, right? That's a beautiful way to word it. And then, yeah, disconnect from all outcomes. It's not our job to worry about the how, right? I wouldn't even say it's our job to know about the when, because we already know we have it. So there is no when, right? If you are living in the end of already having it, you're not even questioning the when, right? You might start to question the how, but we don't need to know how it came to fruition. You just know you already have it, right? Things fell into place. Infinite intelligence was working in your favor. It was working behind the scenes. It was collapsing things. Reality creation is, constant. It's happening for us, right? And it's driven by the thoughts that we're thinking. So, Lauren, beautiful. I love that. Thank you so much for your perspective. Mr. said, can you break down the law of assumption? Thank you. You're so welcome. Great question. So the law of assumption is literally, as in the name, it's what are you dominantly assuming to be true? So the basic tenet of the law of assumption is really everything and everyone in your world, in your reality, is a mirror, right? So if you see something in your 3D, just know that it's a reflection of you. So what does that look like? Let's say you are like our friend here that said they have a dominant belief and a dominant assumption, right, that they always get free food. Then in their 3D, they'll go into a restaurant and they'll get the free appetizer, they'll get the free entree, they'll get maybe a gift card to a restaurant for free, right? Maybe a coworker will bring them coffee or a bagel in the morning for free. They're just getting free food. Because that's their dominant assumption, is that they assume I get things for free. I get food for free. And where this really applies in our 3D world is how we experience people, right? Our relationships and those sort of dynamics. So if you're assuming that someone always is out to get you, right? This person's always setting me up. They're always out to get me. They're talking negatively about me. They're always talking behind my back. Then guess what? They'll reflect that assumption. You're assuming they're out to get you. So then you'll get more of that. They'll stir things up. They'll cause drama, right? Because you're assuming that they're out to get you. But with your mind, your world is malleable. So it's like clay, you can change it. So if someone is out to get you, you can then assume that they're there to support you. And you can do that through thought alone. It just takes a decision, but it has to become your dominant assumption or your dominant thought. So you do that through affirming and visualization, and you say, you know what? This person really turned around, right? Maybe they had an awakening, whatever story you want to tell, because remember, life is just the story that we're telling ourselves. So you change the story and you start saying, you know what? This person had an awakening. Maybe they were in a dark place, and now they're just always showing up for me. They're always supporting me. They're always checking in on me. They're always asking if they can do favors for me. They're constantly trying to build me up. They're always praising me. Right? So now you're assuming that the person is supportive. You're assuming positive intent. You're seeing the best in them. And then they start to reflect that back to you. So think of things in your life, right? Dynamics that you currently have. And you have to look at them with a clear eye and really get honest with yourself and say, why is this person showing up in this way? What am I dominantly assuming to be true of them? Am I assuming that they're going to cheat on me? Am I assuming that they think that I'm stupid or less than? Am I assuming that they're awesome and amazing and that they're supportive? Am I assuming that they love me and that they care for me? What's your assumption? And then that's what's being reflected back to you. So that is the law of assumption in a nutshell. It's just, what are you dominantly thinking? What story do you have on repeat about people, places, things, relationships, and all of those aspects of your life? And what it boils down to is really our self-concept. So that's how we view ourself and how that is related to our world, right? So it's how we view ourselves and how our world reflects it back to us. So if you view yourself as I'm always lucky and I'm always chosen, then you'll always have luck and you'll always be chosen and committed to, right? So it comes down to what you think, because in your reality, you're the only thinker. There's no one else. So what you assume people think of you is how they show up. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, let me know and I can explain a little bit more. But fundamentally, just know that what you assume to be true, what your dominant story is what shows up in your reality. And we manage that through our self-concept, how we view ourselves, right? How we view ourselves is how other people start to perceive us. Thank you so much, Aquaman, for the heart me. So that's what law of assumption is. And it's understanding and knowing that you are the creator. You are infinite intelligence. You are source. You are the universe. You are God. You are Christ consciousness. It's not separate from you. Everything is coming from you. It's coming from your thoughts, which you're dominantly assuming. So let me know if that makes sense for you. And great question. Lauren said, easier said than done. Yeah, it's funny because when you start to do this work and you can fundamentally understand the principle of everything is coming from you, you're constantly creating with your thoughts. The concept is easy, right? It's simple. It's when you start to practice it, because we do experience our world through the 3D, right? And so it can be a challenge sometimes to separate, okay, I'm creating in the 4D in my mind through my imagination, and the 3D is throwing me because it's showing me the opposite of what I want. And that's the part where people struggle because they're relying too heavily on their 3D. They're investing too much energy in their 3D. You can't give the 3D any credit. You have to look at it for what it is. And that's that it's just your old thoughts playing out, right? That's it. You can't get mad when you were thinking that, right? You created it. And the thing is, it's just the past thought. That's all that it is. So you just correct it in the moment now, in the here and now, and in the present. You have the power to do so. So if you see it, you don't like it, you change it. Boom, done. It's a decision. The key is persisting in the decision. You have to keep persisting in the decision until your 3D world shows it as true, shows it as fact, right? So no facts are final. What does that mean? That means whatever you see in your 3D doesn't mean that it's a final fact. If your person, right, your love interest is not showing up for you and they're with someone else, that's not a final fact. You don't have to accept that and say, oh, well, they're married and they're with someone else. Doesn't matter, because circumstances don't matter. You say it's final. It becomes final when you say it. So if you're choosing to give up your power and just say, I give up, I'm not going to manifest my specific person or my wealth or my abundance, that's you as the creator saying you don't believe in your power and that you don't believe that you can have it or that you do have it, right? So if you're the creator, you make up the rules. You don't settle for the thing that you don't want, right? You don't just acquiesce and just say, I give up. My 3D isn't showing me what I want. Thank you so much for the heart me. No, you say, I don't accept this. So what? I don't care what the 3D is showing me. I'm not letting it dictate anything. I know that I have my desire. My desire is already with me because I'm the creator and I said so. And because I said it, it is so. So it's just really locking into the fact and owning that you're the creator. You get to have it all. And the cool part is you get to have it in the exact way that you want it, right? Not only do you get to have it all, you get to have it exactly the way that you want it. Sorry, there's a fly in here. So, good question. K-Pup said, I want to manifest my husband, but how? So, Kay, what you're going to do is you're going to write down a list of all of the character attributes that you want in a husband. So, you can even go to Google, right, and look up positive characteristics. You're going to say that he's funny, he's smart, he's mentally stimulating, he's 6 feet tall. You can even be really descriptive. He has brown eyes, curly hair, he makes $200,000 a year, he's loving, he's loyal, he's affectionate, he's romantic, he cherishes you, right? All of those things, you're going to write down that list. And then what I want you to do is I want you to start affirming that, right? My partner is loyal. My partner is always showing up for me. So you're going to start to tell a story about how you're living in the end, because that's what reality creation is. So you're going to assume that you're already married. I love that you said my husband, right? Because we can manifest in steps, that's fine. Some people like to manifest in steps where they, are manifesting the date and then the text afterwards for the second date, and then, becoming official, and then moving in together, and then the proposal. But I like just going to the end. So going to the end would be, gosh, I'm just so thankful and grateful that I have my husband. He just loves me and supports me, and he's always there for me, and I just feel so loved, and I feel chosen, and I feel prioritized, all of those things, right? So the affirmation is about you. It's not about them. It's about you. So it's your self-concept. So it's you knowing that you are always the priority, that you're always chosen, that you're always loved, that you're always adored, that you're always admired, that you're always complimented, right? That you're the center of his universe, knowing that you're irresistible, knowing that you're a goddess, right? So you're going to start affirming those things as if your person is viewing you in that way, right? Because it's all about you. It's not about them. So you're calling that in, right? You're manifesting the identity of you that has a husband. What would that look like? What would that feel like? And you're going to persist in it. What you're not going to do is you're not going to look at the 3D and say, where is he? Right? Because that's wavering. That's being double-minded. That's saying, I don't have it yet. So you're going to persist in the knowing of you have your desire. And when you write down that characteristic list, read it every morning, right? Read it 5 times a day. Have fun with it, right? Make it feel good. Just know that it's not separate from you. So because you simply decided it, you affirmed it, it's done. Creation is finished. That is all you have to do, right? And when the old story comes up of I'm not chosen, where's my person, I don't have them, you're going to say, no, I'm not entertaining that, because life is the story that I'm telling myself. So why am I investing my energy in the here and now in the old story of I'm single and that I don't have my person? No, I'm putting my energy into I'm living my best life. Me and my husband are planning our dream vacation. We're planning an anniversary party where we're inviting all of our friends and family because we've been together for 10 years and we're soulmates, and people just want to honor our love because they're in awe of our beautiful relationship. People look at us as like the ideal partners, right? So that's what you're going to do. You're going to affirm and you're going to live in the end of having your desire, right? That's your self-concept, how you view yourself in relation to your desire. So you're going to view yourself through the lens of, I'm a wife, right? What would you be thinking? How would you be acting? And you can manifest a specific person that you already know. You can call in new love, but just start with a list of what you want in a partner. Get clear, make it exactly how you want it. I literally wrote a list when I was manifesting my last specific person, and I think it was like 4 pages, right? It was literally a very detailed list of things that I wanted in a partner. It can be detailed. You get to have fun. And if you're not sure what you want, like I said, Google positive characteristics, or just you can affirm generically and just say, I have the perfect partner, right? If it's too overwhelming, just say I have the perfect partner and the perfect marriage. You can affirm that. The key is to just know that you're living in the end of your desire. So just get clear on your desire and persist in the knowing that it's already yours. That's how you're going to do it. Let me know if you have any follow-up questions. Okay, free vacation. Yeah, it was amazing. Like when she said that, I was like, It just doesn't, you just can't make this up, right? I affirm it all the time, every single day. I always get everything for free, and then I get a free vacation. Like, that's, I want to say it's crazy, but when you know reality creation, it's just not crazy. It makes sense. I created it. It came from me, right? So it's just so inspiring. It's just so, I always have so much gratitude, and it's so important, you all, as you're manifesting. It doesn't matter if it's something big or something small. Take pause and witness your creation, right? Stand in it. Have reverence for it, because that's having adoration for your power, right? So witness your creation, right? Appreciate it. Have gratitude for it. I love to say, whenever I get a manifestation, whenever something shows up in my 3D, I always say, thank you, more please. Because I'm like, yes, I want more of this, right? Thank you, more please. So you can affirm that out loud too whenever you're starting to see your manifestations materialize. Have some gratitude. Truly witness your creation, because you're acknowledging your power. And when you start to build that evidence, you're going to manifest faster and faster, because you have proof that you've done it before and you can do it again. Right? You're constantly manifesting anyway, but it's for the things that we really want, the things that we're really desiring. Geo said, yep, I'm a witness of the reality and the ability. Yes, exactly. That's what I was just saying. Exactly. Yes, exactly that. Be a witness to your creation, right? Have reverence for it. Be in awe of yourself. Say, wow, I did that, right? I did that. I did that. I did that. It's an amazing feeling. Truly. So pause. Don't always just jump right into the next thing, you know. Savor it. Relish in it. Aquaman, thank you for the heart, me. Michael said, very sharp. Thank you. Maverick said, interesting. Yeah, it's awesome. You're the creator. Have fun. Thank you for the lightning bolts. Deep thinking manifestation. Yeah, I mean, it's just, what's your dominant thought, right? What do you have on repeat? Mr. Billio said, wow, thank you. Awesome. Yeah, it's amazing to know that, you're in the driver's seat. Life isn't happening to you. It's happening for you. So, get in the game, get your head in the game and start to plan, the play that you're going to make, right? Like, similar to sports, like, what play are we going to make? You get to design it, right? And then you're executing it with your persistence, with your thoughts, with living in the end. And then it shows up. You get the score. You get the goal. So I encourage all of you to definitely get your head in the game, because this is the game of life. You don't want to be sitting on the sidelines. You want to be playing. You want to be out there having fun, experiencing life. So just get clear on your mental diet, right? Don't invest in what you don't want. Pay the 3D no mind when it's showing you things that you don't like. Don't give it your attention, because you know how powerful you are, and you only create more of it. We don't want that. Mary said, I get free food or coffee a lot. I affirm daily. My name is Mary, and only good things happen to me. I love that, Mary. That's beautiful. Yes. I love that. See? Here's the key takeaway. Your word is your wand. So what Mary is doing is she understands and knows that she is the commander of her reality. She's commanding her reality through her words, right? Spelling is to cast a spell. So make sure it's working in your favor. I love that, Mary. That's beautiful. And it's a really good blanket affirmation, right? I think it's also fun because it creates curiosity. You're just open to possibility. You're just like, hey, look, I'm open to opportunity, any and everything, because only good things happen to me. So surprise me, right? Surprise me. It's fun. Beautiful, Mary. I love that. Gio said, the way the definition you set in this reality is strong. Thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah. I mean, we're constantly defining our reality, right? I mean, everything in this world is neutral until you give it meaning. So you get to decide, right? You don't have to abide by today's standards, right? Society's beauty standards, society's standard for wealth, society's standards for success, right? You don't have to have the house with the white picket fence if that's not your idea of success. Yours could be doing purpose work. Yours could be just sitting on a beach. That's success, right? In your eyes, if that's what you want, you get to decide. You get to choose. It's your world. You're the creator, so you get to make the rules. You're the one making the definitions. You're the one giving things meaning. So if that's what you want, that's what you command. It's done, right? Gio said 5D. Yeah, people talk about the 5D, 4D. So 5D, if you all are not familiar, it's an extension of the 4D. I just say 4D. 5D is a little bit more new age. It's just saying that you're more so in a higher level of Christ consciousness where you're not trying, right? So like with the 4D, you're trying because you're doing work through techniques, affirming, visualization, a lot of imagination work, right? The 5D is you're just in a flow state, right? Kind of maybe like probably how Eckhart Tolle is, I would imagine, because he is truly an exception. And I would say maybe like a master yogi where they're not desiring anything. They're just in a state of being, right? I just am existence. That's it. So, yeah, they're slightly different, but I just say 4D. I am the author of my own story. Exactly, you are, right? So you're the author, you're the producer, you're the director, and you're the main character, right? So you get to decide and you get to choose. Like, how fun is that? You get to do the casting, you get to figure out how people are showing up in the scene, right? So you get to choose it all. Everybody's just reflecting you. So start seeing the best. I always say that's the greatest hack for reality creation is just assume the best. See the best. Know that you're surrounded by the best. You're always supported by the best. Everybody is always working in your favor, right? You're just surrounded by the best of the best because you are the best. So start claiming that. Someone asked, how is this similar to limerence? Well, you get to define what limerence is. I would, put that back on you, right? I mean, there's this societal term of limerence, and that's being in love, right, with your delusion, right? You're romanticizing something. So, I mean, that's what reality creation is. It's in your imagination. Like, get delusional. I say the more the delusional, the better, right? Like, why would I play it safe? If I'm creating my own reality and I get to experience the game of life, and why would I make a straight and narrow path? No one's going to buy a game where the objective is to get from one side of, a field to another, right? You want to add in obstacles, right? You want to add in that they're climbing a tree. You want to make it fun, right? So it's reality creation. So limerence is just delusion, and yeah, we are being delusional. We're creating in our imagination. It's in the best way. Also, I would say, who says limerence is a bad thing, right? I don't think necessarily limerence is a bad thing, unless if you think it's bad. It's only bad if you think it's bad. Limerence is just a way of viewing things through the lens of romanticizing a situation, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Why not? Why not? Guys, we're making assumptions all the time, so why not make it a good assumption, right? Why assume the worst? Why be practical, right? When people are like, be realistic, yuck. I don't want to be realistic. Why would I be realistic? If I'm creating my reality, like, that's boring. I don't want to be realistic. I want to live in limerence, delusion, whatever you want to call it, right? It's like we're creating our reality. I want it to be like the best. I want it to be beautiful. I want it to be magical. I want it to be unforgettable. I want to live a vibrant life. I don't want to be defined by some box that society deemed as realistic. No way. I'm not doing that. Not even for a second. I quit my 9 to 5 in May last year because I had this breakthrough, right? I've been studying law of assumption for years, and I just finally was like, I'm the one that's saying I have to be in a 9 to 5 in order to live and survive. I'm doing that, right? Like, yes, was it societal programming? Yeah, that's where I got the idea from it, but I don't have to accept that as my reality. So instead of focusing on all the reasons of why I couldn't quit my job, I looked at the opposite and I said, what are all the reasons of why I can quit my job? And guess what? Things started to appear, opportunities, right? Because I started focusing on how it was possible instead of focusing on why it wasn't possible. So then I was able to make it happen. And now I'm living halfway across the globe in my new life. All because I believed in my power. I understood and I knew the law. And I said, what I assume is what goes, right? What I assume is what's true. I don't have to believe in these assumptions that are loaded into us, right, automatically to have the 9 to 5, to get the pension or to get the 401k and the health insurance and the benefits and the 2 weeks of vacation a year. You don't have to subscribe to that. There's nothing wrong with it, by the way, if you do. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that whatever you assume to be true is what's true. So if there's something that you don't like, make a different assumption. That's it. Mr. Billiard said, is this a form of alchemy? I mean, you could view it in that way, you know. If you all are not familiar with alchemy, it's taking a material and turning it into gold, right? So yeah, it's that your world is malleable, right? Nothing is solid. We're creating things with our mind, right? And that's true. That's not woo-woo. Nothing is solid, right? Your world is not a static picture, right? It's movable. Cars are moving in your reality, right? You're driving down the street. You brake. The person behind you brakes. The world is malleable because you were the cause of the brake. The world was the effect. The person behind you then braked, right? So it's just about knowing that you're the creator and that the world is not static. Your actions are unfolding because of your thoughts that you are having. So think a better thought. It's just about being conscious, being aware, right? A lot of the times we're just on autopilot. We're trying to survive, live our life, whether if that's living paycheck to paycheck and just trying to make rent, whether if that's just having the same day every day of I wake up, eat my bagel, go to work, talk to the same people about the same things, come home, eat meatloaf, watch TV, go to bed. You're just not aware that you can change things, right? That you're the creator, that you get to decide how things go. That all comes from you. You can interrupt the program. You can do it at any time. You can interrupt it right here and right now by just deciding what you want. Get clear on what you want and then tell that story. It's just a story. So it's also important when I talk about be mindful of your mental diet, right? Have a strict mental diet. Make sure you're aware of the story that you're telling yourself. You know, when you're out with friends, right? You have certain people in your life that you talk about certain things with. You go to brunch with your friends and you guys are constantly talking about how, you're broke and, you're struggling, or maybe you're talking about how, the dating pool sucks, right? And people are awful. That's the story you're telling yourself. So you got to stop engaging in those conversations, and it can be weird. When I first started doing this 5 years ago in 2020, it got weird Because there were some people where I would go out and I would just be silent because I was so committed to changing my life that I was like, I will not engage in a conversation, right? And I just, when they would say something, I would just be silent. And there were a couple of people that addressed it, right? And I said, I'm really trying to be different. I did share with them. I said, I'm really trying to think differently and be different. And I just don't want to engage in that sort of thing. And you'll start to see people fall off, right? Your world's going to change. It's going to shift to match whatever it is that you're desiring, right? The identity that you're stepping into, whether that be a person that no longer entertains drama and chaos, right? Those things will start to fade away. But also, you don't have to necessarily, go silent like I did, right? You can still engage, but maybe to a lesser degree. Or let's say you engage, right? And you're like afterwards, man, I wish I hadn't have said that. You can revise it because the world is malleable. You can go back and change the past because truthfully, there is no past, right? There's only the present moment. When you're thinking about the past, you're in the present moment. When you're thinking about the future, you're in the present moment. So you can change it, right? But it's just about becoming aware of who are you being. So I am very, very conscientious of what I say, right? I was on the phone with a friend earlier. We were having a conversation and she was just like, I'm sure you're thinking, blah, blah, blah. I'm dumb. I said, I didn't say that. That's her reflection, right? She assumes that what she said someone would perceive as dumb. I actually thought what she said was really interesting, but it was uncomfortable for her, right? Because it was a new idea. And she wasn't sure how it was going to be perceived. And she knows this work. So she corrected it immediately and was like, I don't even know why I said that. And I was like, hey, look, it's on you, right? I mean, it doesn't matter. It's okay. We all have the thoughts. Just don't get lost in that story you don't want. Thank you so much for the follows. And if you're new here again, I do answer every single person's question. So I will answer your question. Chris, thank you for the follow. Thank you for the roses. Thank you for the follow. ST, I missed the beginning of what you said, which is weird because I don't know if I accidentally scrolled past it. You said, and I feel I pushed her away and turned her off while in no contact. You were on the other day, ST, and I gave you a very detailed response. So you're saying last time I saw her at a local college bar, she seemed so detached and moved on, maybe talking to someone else based off of things I've seen. Okay, so listen. Mr. Billiard said, love Eckhart Tolle. Yeah, he's great. ST, listen, you were on the other day and I gave you a very detailed response. You're still living in the end. The fact that you're asking these questions still, you're not living in the end of having her back. So of course you don't have her back because you're asking these questions. And I know you're here to ask questions, that's fine. But we talked about this the other day. So yeah, you're going to just continue to manifest that. You said, she seems detached and moved on. Yeah, because you're assuming that. You assumed that she detached and she moved on. So she's moved on. And then you said she may be talking to someone else. She probably is. Because you're assuming that. And I don't mean that to sound harsh or to hurt your feelings, but we went over this the other day. You're still living in the story of you're not enough and you're not chosen. And I don't want that for you. You have to stop telling this story. Because this is the second time you've been on here talking about the same girl. So of course she's talking to someone else because you're continually saying it. I'm going to go back up just to make sure I have everything you said. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to stop telling this story. You're going to affirm that you all are back together, that you're in constant communication. There is no contact, right? The no contact doesn't exist, right? You're not going to give any attention to a third party, meaning her being with someone else. You're going to stop telling this story. You need to divorce yourself from this story because you're creating it every single time you type it out into this chat. And you're going to stop saying that you pushed her away. You're going to say we're back and we're better than ever. And we're in a loving, committed relationship. And she loves and adores me. And you're not even going to talk about what happened in the past. We're onward and upward. We're in the here and now. If you had her back now, would you still be talking about this? Would you still be saying you pushed her away? No, because she'd be here with you now. So you decide right now, because all you have is now. It just takes one decision, ST. That's it. You decide now, we're together. She shows up for me. She supports me. I'm her one and only. She thinks I'm amazing. She's dedicated to me. She's committed to me. She loves me. She only has eyes for me. She cares about me and only me. That's it. The no contact stuff you're not going to mention. You're going to stop talking about the fact that you pushed her away. Because the version of you that has her back, that identity is now. So you wouldn't be entertaining the story at all. So you need to live in the end of you all are together again. What would that look like? You'd be planning date nights. Having little sleepovers. I don't know, maybe moving in together. Invest in what you want. I really recommend for you, I think that scripting would go a long way for you because you need to get lost in the new story of you guys are together again. And I really think scripting is going to help you with that. So what that looks like is you're going to journal every day what you guys did together today, as if it already happened, right? Today we woke up together. We had our morning coffee and tea together. We laughed at a few YouTube videos and reels. Then we went out and had lunch with friends. Then we planned, our dinner party that we're hosting next week, whatever it is, right? You're going to do that every day. And you're going to keep doing it. And you're going to read those stories until it manifests in your world. Because I think that'll help you. But I urge you, you have to stop telling the story of she's with someone else, because then she's going to be with someone else. And that's going to be a really hard thing to witness and see in your 3D if it comes to fruition, which it will, because you're telling that story. You're constantly manifesting. You're manifesting all the time with your thoughts, good and bad. So invest in the good. I don't want you to be upset with yourself when you see her holding hands with someone else. You're creating that by telling the story continually. I really think you should try scripting. Duke, thank you so much. Someone said as within, so without. Yes. The world is what we make it. Yes. That's it. So we have to stop telling ourselves stories that hurt us. Programming. Yeah, it all comes down to what's your program, right? What are you dominantly assuming? That's your program. That's your story. They're all synonymous, right? Tell yourself a better story. Someone said, I'm so tired of listening to people speak negatively. Yeah, so just say, I only get good news. I only hear good stories. I'm constantly hearing success stories. I'm always hearing positive things that are happening in this world, right? So when you say, I'm tired of listening to people speak negatively, that's an affirmation. You're affirming, I hear negative stories. I hear people speak negatively, right? So just say the opposite. And I know what you're saying. You're just saying you're tired of hearing about it and you want to have a more positive life. And I think that's beautiful and commendable. And I love that. And you'll have it, right? Just start affirming it, because then your brain will start scanning for positive dialogue. And then your world will reflect that back to you. That's a very easy one, and I think it's a beautiful one. So start affirming that you only hear about good things. Good things are only happening around you to the people that you love and you care about. They're constantly sharing good news. Good news is always on your ears. Good news is always on the lips of other people, right? That's what you're going to start saying. You're going to just affirm that you only hear good things. It's always good things. It's only positive things. Thank you so much for the heart, me. So start assuming that. And your world will reflect it back to you. Aqua Goddess said, gratitude. I just finally got off my chest to someone what I should have said but didn't at the time. Great. Beautiful. Yeah. That's great. Definitely have gratitude always, in all ways, is what I say, right? So at every moment, at every opportunity where you can have gratitude, yeah. Take that and harness it and just say, I'm so proud of myself for speaking my mind. Like, that's an affirmation. I spoke my mind. So that's good. Thank you so much, Steve. I appreciate you. Thank you. So today we're talking about reality creation, how our thoughts become things, and how we have to have a disciplined mind, right? Have our strong, strict mental diet, and to live in the end, right, of our wish fulfilled, because our desire is ours. And the topic of today's conversation was nothing is separate from us. So back to what someone just said, Christ, Lord, source, universe, it's all within us. The kingdom is within us, right? When the Bible references the kingdom is your inner world. That's what that means. So the kingdom of God is within you because you're an extension of God. You are Christ consciousness. So because you know that, because you're here, because you're so smart and you're intelligent, you know you're the creator. And you're creating your reality and your experiences through thought alone. And so we're just becoming aware. We're becoming conscious of it. And we're taking action to have a disciplined mind. So then that way we can create the life that we want to live and have all of our dreams and desires manifest into reality. Right? We're uncovering our Christ consciousness and who we are. Sorry, this fly is driving me insane. I need to manifest it out of here. ST said, I see. Yeah. ST, tell a better story. Right? Because you're kind of just making yourself more miserable the more you tell that story. And I don't want that for you, right? You deserve to have a loving relationship. You deserve to have your partner, right? Your dream ideal partner that's supportive and loving, and you deserve to feel loved, right? And we give that to ourselves because we're creating our reality. So give that to yourself by telling the story of I'm loved, I am chosen, right? We are first cause. We give it to ourselves first, and you do that through knowing you're the creator. So you just unconsciously created that, right? You created a story of maybe you weren't enough, maybe you were never chosen, maybe you're always rejected, maybe you're always cheated on. I don't know. I'd have to work with you one-on-one to know what your story is or what your pattern is, right? But I'm willing to bet you have thoughts like that, and that's what caused her to detach, right? Then you started to analyze, well, maybe she's with someone else. And you're like looking, and then by looking for that, you're creating it. So get to the heart of what story were you initially telling, and it's the story about you. What's your story? Do you think you're not enough? Do you think that you're always second best? Do you think that you're never picked, right? And then you just change it, right? There's no shame in the story. There's no judgment. It's just about becoming aware, saying, wow, I really was not conscious of what I was thinking, and now my eyes are open. Now I'm awake, and I'm going to think something better. And then it will materialize in your world. You just have to persist in that thinking. You can't keep going back to the old story. Right? You can't be in love with your trauma. You can't be in love with the past. You can't be in love with what hurt you. You'll just create more of it. So stop investing in that story and put your energy into the new story. I really, really, really think scripting will do a lot for you. BC said, is this connected to Neville's information? Yeah, 100%. That's what I teach is law of assumption. So all of this is Neville Goddard teachings. Yes. ST said, I understand. Good. Because I'm saying this lovingly, right? I want you to get this because had I known this, right? I'm 38 almost. had I known this sooner, I could have lived life very differently. So when I say these things, right, that are sometimes jarring of you created her being with someone else, I know you didn't do it on purpose, but it's just to open your eyes to what you weren't aware of, what you were thinking, right? So I want you to understand, and I want you to know that you can uncreate it, right? Just takes a little bit of work, a little consistency, a little discipline, and it all comes from you. It comes from your thoughts. You don't need to do anything in the 3D. You don't need to show up at her house and demand that she treats you right? You're not doing any of that. All of it is in the story you tell yourself. It's all in your imagination. So when the old story comes up, you're just going to look at it with compassion, no judgment, and you're just going to say, that's not me. I'm not the victim. I'm not second best. Right? You're going to say, I'm loved. I'm chosen. I'm worthy. I'm enough. I'm supported. I'm cared for. My partner communicates with me openly and honestly. They want to be with me because there's only one me, and I'm amazing. Right? You're not going to tell the old story because then you're just going to create more of it. And I genuinely do not want that for you. So live in the end of the new story, and your reality will reflect it back to you. It will. Stick with it. And then come back here and let us know when you all are reunited. You already are in your mind. You have to live in the end of it's already done. That'll get you a no contact order, LOL. Oh, I don't even know what I said. Yeah, if you're assuming that someone is rejecting you, then yeah, that'll get you a no contact order, right? If you're assuming that you're never chosen, then a person will block you. They'll go no contact. They'll ghost you, right? Because you're assuming that you're not enough. You're assuming that they like someone else. You're assuming that, you'll be disappointed. People always disappoint you. So it's just about opening up your mind. EG said you have to trick your mind. Exactly, that's what this is. You have to direct your mind. You're directing the movie. So tell yourself a different story. That's it. Yeah, EG, great addition. I love that. Yeah, your mind is impartial. So EG said your mind doesn't know what's true or what's false. Exactly. It only knows what you tell it. So tell it what you want it to, right? That's what I mean when I say your brain is impartial. It doesn't know the difference. It only knows your dominant thought, what you're dominantly assuming to be true. That's it. Aqua Goddess said no living in the past. Yeah, absolutely. No living in the past. Like, we're not doing that. We're creating our future. And that's why this does require some work, because from a scientific perspective, we think 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. 90% of them are from yesterday. So that's the past. So to your point, Aqua Goddess, I agree with you. You have to overcome your past and say, I'm not living in the past. I'm living in the end of the future, right, of my desire, and I'm doing that in the here and now, because as the creator, I know that I get to have it now. In the here, in the now. I have it now. I always say where you need to be is the sweet spot of the in-between, right? So what does that look like? I'll use a new analogy. When you go to a restaurant and you place an order, you say, I want the rosemary chicken with a side of potatoes and a club soda, right? And you trust and know that it's coming. It's there. You ordered it. You aren't running back to the kitchen saying, what's going on with my food? Where's my meal? Right? You're not doing that. You're living your joy. You're having fun with the people at your table. You guys are laughing it up. Right? You guys are talking about life and how you're so grateful to have each other, and you're so glad you could get together for this beautiful meal at this nice restaurant, and just talking about all of the things that are going on in your life, right? You're not worried about the food and where it is and if it's coming and did they get it right. And no, you place the order and so it is done. Creation is finished because you decided it. So when you're living in the end, I understand that your 3D is you being at the table with an empty plate, right? Because the meal hasn't come yet. But you have to be in the knowing that it's yours because you ordered it. That's the sweet spot. You're not checking around, seeing if another table got your food. You know it's yours.